What the fuck is this? Episode 122? 123?
128? I don't know.
I think
124?
Oh my god, even that we don't know fucking numbers. We could start with that one. We went to the UFC.
I'm going to say that's your fault because that's like part of your bag.
Okay, but also it could just be we are not good with numbers because Dennis Bermudez was like...
We were on like 30 something. I'm like, what one we on today, Stan?
Michael Bisping, it's me, your favorite cast member from season 12. And that's the thing, Bisping's like a smart, snappy guy. He immediately was like, what the fuck's this kid talking about?
All right. So I should backtrack on that, right? So we're at UFC Long Island, ABC 3, right? And we're in the press row, and sitting next to us is Fight Club, which is Michael Bisping's channel podcast.
I don't think that's his. I think that guy works for him. Or maybe,
okay.
or maybe he does. I'm not, but I
think... so that guy's like, I work for Michael Bisping, and I was like, tell that motherfucker I want him on the Menace and the Man show. He's like, I'll do you one better. Like, here's a video. So I'm like, and prior to me leaving Bisping a message, I was talking to that guy about how the other Menace, Michael Johnson, was season 12 of The Ultimate Fighter, and I was season 14.
Yeah.
So I had like season 12 was the last thing I said, So I'm like, Mike, it's your favorite Puerto Rican, season 12 Ultimate Fighter, Dennis the Menace, and we need to get you on the show. And he replied with, who the fuck is that guy? And it was season 14. And I was like, fuck. I probably shouldn't have drank fucking... I was probably 7, 8 high noons deep by this point.
I mean, he knows exactly who you are, so he was fucking with you. But that's amazing. But that was amazing to me that you, did shoot that shot, and then Michael Bisping was like...
Fucked it up. Dropped the ball.
Let me knock this kid down a peg.
Yeah.
Pretty much is what it seems like.
Yeah.
There he is.
Stanley, do a proper intro.
Matt Schnell, welcome to Menace and the Man, Stan the Man, Dennis the Menace Bermudez. Now we're joined by the talk of the MMA world right now, Matt Schnell. How are we, brother?
Doing good. Happy to be here. Just tuning in from the beautiful Humboldt, Texas, my home city over here where I own a house. My little girl's outside of the room losing her mind, so forgive me.
My little guys are upstairs being wild as well. So I just want to just say this right now. Stan, he's got a better shirt on than you do. Stan's a big t-shirt guy. He prides himself on getting compliments on shirts that he wears, and they are good ones.
He wears good t-shirts. Yeah, he was wearing a good one Saturday night. So
that's right.
Yeah.
I did get some compliments.
My wife bought me this one. She actually hates it. She got it for me, and I wear it way too much, so she hates this shirt now. But shout out to her.
You get those shirts sometimes that you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna have to play this one out. It's too good.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here's what happens. You wear it, right? And you wash it, and it's like on top of the laundry, and it just stays in that cycle for a while, right?
They do get to looking bad over time too. Like when you wash it a time or two, this thing was its colors were much brighter at one point, but I've put some miles on it,
which is a good thing too, right?
Yeah.
Some shirts it looks even better when they're worn in. Like you can't even buy that like that,
Exactly.
Man, so after the fight, right? I see you. You look right. You have kind of what you got going on here. You go up, you shower, you come back down. You look like a totally different man.
Yeah, I gave myself this black eye because I didn't realize that my nose was, I guess, a little crunched up. So when I was in the shower, I blew my nose and I completely blew my eye up, just like Donald Cerrone did. I can't remember which event that was, but he did it in between rounds.
Was that against Ferguson?
No, didn't Yair do that too against Frankie?
I can't remember who it was. I can't remember.
No, but they stopped the one for Cerrone, right?
Yeah, they stopped it. His eye swole completely
Was
shut.
it against Ferguson?
Can't remember. It might have been. I can't remember.
Where they're like, "Oh man, I'm sorry. Like we'll run it back," you know.
Yeah, because it was a great fight to that point too. They were kind of that might be what happened. Yeah, it might have been Ferguson. I can't remember, but yeah. Luckily, I didn't do it in between rounds, and Coach Safe actually told me not to. He was like, "Don't you dare blow your nose." And I guess good thing he said that, because if I would have TKO'd myself in between the rounds. So that was good.
Man, though, I went back. I don't know if you have, Dennis, went back and like rewatched the fight, or I watched the fight in its entirety for the first time. Holy shit. 6 times maybe you were on skates in that second round. Like he caught you with like
stanky leg. Dude, a stanky leg. Dude,
I'm definitely doing that. I don't. Unfortunately, I'm not an editor, and I have to find somebody and source somebody. So we're trying to get.
Do we have someone, Stan?
I could do it. I thought about it, and I did start playing with the idea in my head. But then I was like, I'll talk to Matt Schnell first, and I'll talk to Dennis first, and we'll.
I think you should start it with Dennis telling me to do it. You know, and this isn't dropping live right before this drop. It could be a teaser for this, but. You can kind of do it like that. And I'm even like, yeah, okay, I like that. And then we just kind of go from there. And I think that would be cool.
Getting hit, right? So I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, right? And there's definitely been times where I've gotten hit and been like, that hurt. There's definitely been times where I got hit and was like, I don't know, like I'm fine. And there's been times where like I'm missing 10 seconds of the fight. Like my body was on autopilot. I'm doing things, but I can't recall the last 10 seconds, you know. Yeah. For example, I went and when I fought Max Holloway, I remember I was like level changing. He spinning kicked me in the face, and I like kind of like come to him on my feet somehow, right? And then he keeps throwing spinning kicks. I'm like, why is he like throwing these? Like they're not working. What is this guy doing? You know? And I go back to the corner. And I asked my corner, like, yo, what did he hit me with? Like, I was like, an uppercut? He like spinning back kick. I was like, oh, all right. So my question to you is, were you home? Was it, ow, that hurt? Was it, because sometimes you get punched too and just kind of like shuts the nervous system off for a second. You fall down. You're like, ah, fuck. And you know, you're getting right back up instantly.
You know, I think if you watch the fight, you can tell the ones where I leave the office for a second.
No, wait a minute. No. You can't, because your recovery, that's what I was going to say. Your recovery, your bounce back, like you died, and then it was 2 seconds later. Nope, he's good.
I think some of the elbows shut me down, but I was still able to. And shout out to my kickboxing coach, by the way. I know people are praising toughness and things like that, but we all know you don't get more durable as your career goes on. But we've been working just fundamentals of keeping my feet in a better position, trying to keep my base underneath me better. And I can't help but think that really paid dividends the other night, just having a better base. And not always. Obviously, sometimes when he cracked me, my base wasn't perfect, but it was better than it has been in the past, because a lot of times in the past, I haven't been able to recover from shots. So shout out to my guy. We working over here.
Another thing for recovering from shots is neck strength. The ability to, like, when you get punched and like not let your head snap as much is kind of a deterrent of being able to get
that's
knocked.
Recoil.
Yeah. Another thing, I remember I forget who I lost to, but it was like a TKO, right? And I had to see like a doctor for things afterwards. And he had asked me from what direction the strike was. And I told him it was like north side. I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of looked at him like, because what I gathered was the doctor was telling me that it's easy to get knocked out like south to north strike versus like an east to west strike. I was like, because again, I guess they get knocked out from like a hook or east to, like, then you really got to get hit fucking really hard versus like, because I remember watching Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard, right? Frankie, I think, stuffed the takedown, and as they were getting up, just did one of these, like a boop, and he was just like, I mean, that's something definitely to consider, especially for you, a longer fighter.
That makes sense to me, right? Because I believe the chin's the button because it's the furthest point from your brain. And what's going to knock you out is when that brain shakes inside your skull. So from left to right, we're shorter here than we are from here, so it's just more leverage. So I mean that does make perfect sense.
Well, they did a study. They did a study on this, and it's a thing right here that your bone hits. So the north-south hits it almost instantly, versus if it goes this way, it's got to be a really hard shot for it to
Right.
Those
are bad knockouts too, though, huh? When people do this, those are bad ones.
A lot of times, though, too, those guys aren't off. They they have gone off, but those guys are wobbled and why'd you stop the fight? Versus those ones are the flat lines and usually the ones where the guy's done. But even one thing I wanted to say too, I've seen probably, I couldn't even put a number on it, how many tens of thousands of fights I've seen. And I don't think I've seen a fight like that, Matt. And that's even, I saw you credit the referee for not stopping it. It was your bounce back. Like, you didn't have that moment where the referee could even jump in. It would have been almost premature-ish at that point.
I think every time he was thinking about it, too, I'd throw up enough to just kind of, there were moments where he was putting a lot of offense and I'm in trouble, and then bang, bang, I do shake him with two. So that kind of kept me in the game a little bit. But, shout out to SuMudaerji as well. What a dang stud, 26-year-old kid from Tibet, and he's tough. And I wish him the best. I was checking in on him, hoping everything was fine. I think he is going to make a full recovery. So shout out to Sue.
You know how you have recency biased? Sometimes you have that in fighting, like, oh, this was the best card. That was the best knockout. This is the best pound-for-pound fighter. This isn't recency bias. Like, when I watched this fight, I was like, holy shit. I do not remember a round like that. The one that comes to mind, and he didn't get rocked that much, is Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard, where a guy, that's why when at the post-fight, you were like, people were saying it's the biggest comeback. It might have been. After watching,
because I hadn't watched it yet. And I agree, it certainly was a comeback. Though I did take the first round, and if I would have had my way and been my sharpest, I probably would have just done that for 3 rounds in a row and gotten the W.
Yeah, because even the post-fight presser, we thought, because the way the fight was so quick changing, we thought that you got knocked down and then triangled him. You took him down and got swept a little bit and then triangled him. That was just, crazy, chaotic fight. But
after dropping elbows on his face, and that triangle was, a lot of people talk about getting the arm over, and I kind of rely on people thinking that they're safe in that spot because I finished that triangle a lot. But it is something to note. Probably could have finished it quicker if I would have just gotten his arm over, and he was there for it. He wasn't going to stop me from getting his arm over either.
Oh my God!
In jiu-jitsu, what are your accolades for people that don't know?
I'm a purple belt. I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. But I've been.
Do you have any jiu-jitsu competition or just?
No. When I was younger, I competed a lot. But it's always been a strength of my game, especially like I've got, I think, 10 submission wins now. Maybe.
And even I heard you say, I think you did one of the interviews you did today. You've submitted many black belts. You have MMA jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I don't think anybody on the mat, they're like, oh, let me get Schnell. He's just a purple belt.
Oh my God, too. And Daniel Cormier's reaction. Daniel Cormier lost words and was like, like just started making noises when he like turned the momentum in the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that right hand.
I think Cormier has a soft spot for me, though. He can be hard on me sometimes too.
That's a good thing, though. That means he likes you, right? We always say this: the people who can roast you and keep it real with you, they have to have a liking.
Sure.
You have to have a liking and a good rapport and a good relationship with him. But did you spoke to DC after the fight, right?
Yep.
Were you there during your post-fight interview?
I was there. I only got a 30-day suspension. They ran me through everything in the back and cognitively functioning. And, the man can wear his CTE well. What can I say?
Like that's what I was going to say. You got to soak it all in, right? Because the love that you were getting from the New York crowd was like you and Shane Burgos.
Yeah, it was good. Shout out. Bring me back.
Matt, how old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay.
I was born in 1990. So
and then what year is this right now for you in MMA?
This is 13. I made my debut in 2009. So 13.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're
amateur debut. I fought 13 amateur fights. I turned pro in 2012. So I just coming up on 10 years. That'll be September. 10 years in September, professional.
But the amateur rules, were those pro rules or the amateur fights? Were those pro rules or amateur rules?
Pretty much. I mean, we were just wearing, it was pro fights, but no elbows. That was it. Yeah. In Louisiana and Texas, we didn't have shin pads and none of that nonsense. I fought 13 fights and also had to go everywhere to find fights and competition because around these parts, people stopped showing up for the fight. So
even Dennis, he is also like Dennis the Menace Bermudez. He's done some reality TV, right? What was exactly your is Caged? Was it an MTV reality show or was it like
it was a docu-series. It was like 10 episodes. Small town Louisiana guys that fought amateur MMA.
Is that the one that Dustin was on?
No, Dustin was on Fightville, and I wish Fightville. Fightville's such a great documentary. Don't watch Cage. Go watch Fightville. If you want to catch up on Cage, a guy on YouTube has a great series on it. Steven Strangles Everything. You know that guy?
We love him. Yeah. You know him, Menace. You know him. He's you know him. He's the one who does the Euro actually put me on to him, Menace. He does the bully beatdown like reviews.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And he also did one for Caged, all 10 episodes. I would say rather than watching it because it's a 2012 reality show, and you just go on and just do Steven Strangles Everything.
Yeah,
good job.
He's from the Northeast. He's a Renzo Gracie black belt under that whole umbrella. I think he used to train with Jared Gordon, so he's from the same like areas and groups that we affiliate with. But yeah, that guy, I love his content. Big fan of his shit.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But yeah, so now Matt Schnell, you're like the talk of the fight world. Like, what do you do now?
I mean, I think I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing, probably take another fight, hopefully around November 16th in Madison Square Garden. And I need to heal for the next couple of days because I am actually pretty beat up from this one. You know, I took some shots out there. Not only that, but I came into it dealing with stuff. And so maybe take the rest of the week. I might get back to shadow boxing and kickboxing a little bit on Friday. But get back to it, get back in the routine. I want to cross over and do some different stuff. My buddy Aaron's been going and training with the group at Donahur's in Austin.
B team?
Yeah, B team. He's been going over there and working with those guys. And so I think I'm going to start doing that too and just kind of making my rounds, roll through Texas, get back on a routine. Get back in a fight, keep on, dude, I'm one of the best. I can beat all these guys. I've had some rocky I've had some rocky performances, but I've had some good ones too. And I think I'm a guy. So it's time to make my run. And what am I going to do? Get back to work and go whip some people.
Yeah. Before this fight on Saturday, how many followers did you have on Instagram or?
On Instagram, I had 20,000, 20.4 or something
and now you've got like 41.
Yeah, we doubled
That's huge. And it's crazy how much the social media game has like gotten with MMA. Because I remember I think I beat Clay Guida and I gained like 8,000 fans or like followers. I was like, yeah.
It's always a good thing to get a little bump. And I've had some small bumps here and there, but to double it, that's a nice night. Shout out to the one picture, that picture, huh? Because that's the thing that's probably
where he's laying there and you're like,
yeah. It's right. It's like a front view and he's on my knee and I mean what a great shot, legendary. So
that's when you get like framed, right?
Oh yeah, we're gonna get that framed. My wife's just gonna put it in the attic somewhere, but we're gonna get a nice one framed to put in the attic somewhere. Somebody will want to display it one day.
Oh, yeah, that's the one you put right over, like, your desk in your office. I mean, if you're not married and you got no kids, you put that over your couch in your living room, like when people walk in.
He puts it over his bed.
Yes.
Daddy's home.
And then, oh, my God, like, even when I first got to the event, I'm in the bathroom. I bump into Yves. Yves has always been a good friend of Dennis, very kind to me. I've done podcasts with him. He starts, I'm here with Matt Schnell. I start talking to him like, yeah, I know Matt Schnell's from the top team. SuMudaerji's with the top team. And Yves is like, are you fucking kidding me? What?
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, and then we went right up to you and we started talking, and then I just started bullshitting with you, and I was like, oh man, I fucking like Matt Schnell. And then even you were like, I don't know Dennis, but I know Dennis. Tell Dennis I said what's up. And then Dennis was like, who's Matt Schnell? Which one's Matt Schnell? I showed him, and he's like, oh, I don't know him, but he said he knew me. I'm like, no, he said he knew of you. And he's like, okay. Something that me and Dennis talked about, and it's you could attest to this, like, who's your GOAT? Who's your all-time, who's the greatest of all time to you?
My favorite of all time is BJ Penn, and I really enjoyed the bravado of his. He was the phenom. He was the guy that got his black belt in 3 years. So I kind of became enamored with that storyline. I think in my mind, BJ Penn is the GOAT also because he never really got, and not because of his record, but because he never got accused of doing steroids, and he probably had a pretty fun party life, and that's why he was inconsistent with things. But BJ Penn, to me, prime BJ Penn, that was who I was tuning in to watch.
Wait, Menace.
And like, what? No, I know where you're going with this, and I think it's BJ Penn because BJ Penn was the lowest weight class.
No,
Matt started watching.
BJ Penn's a little guy. That's what I'm saying. BJ Penn, 100%. I always say, like, Menace is surprised sometimes when guys kind of, like, fighters, and I shouldn't be, but he's like, oh, how does that guy know me? And I'm like, bro, the littler weight classes, like, you're paying attention to 35 and 45 and 55.
Yeah. I was in on the WEC early on, too. I was tuning in Uriah Faber, Dominic Cruz won.
And yeah, you guys know what's up. There's way more skill and technique in the lower weight classes.
Oh, my God.
Like, what you guys are doing is...
Stan, you remember we saw Sean Shelby, right?
Yeah.
He was saying, like, we only have, like, 20 heavyweights. And I was like, man, he's like, yeah, we're shallow. I'm like, do you know where the best heavyweight is? And he was like, I was like, he plays in the NBA and the NFL. He goes, yeah, you're probably right.
Sean Shelby thought Menace had a prospect for him. He's like, I'm all ears.
Then he was eyeballing me.
But yeah, usually the lower weight guys, like their GOAT or the guys that they watched or the guys they paid attention to are the lower weight classes. The higher weight classes, of course, you maybe watch the fights, but
I think a part of me have always been a fan of the technical aspects of fighting too. Not that I haven't enjoyed the heavyweights, and I tune in to heavyweights fights. I can't wait to be in the building July 30th and watch Derek Lewis go out there and fight some other Russian guy. Cannot wait. That's going to be awesome. The heavyweights are cool. I think another reason that the pool of talent at heavyweight is so shallow is, not only are the big guys in the NBA and in the NFL, you're right about that, but oftentimes, or in my experience throughout my sporting career, the biggest guy on the team was the softest guy on the team. It's hard to get that balance of killer and big boy that's a killer. I think that's more rare than anything, and not taking shots at the big boys. Obviously, there's some murderers out there, but that was my experience. The biggest guy there, we needed him, and he'd always be a starter, but it's like if I was one of those guys, I'd be playing in the NFL.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that the lower weight class is almost maybe pay attention to fighting a little more, I can almost say, but so that's why Menace, some guys know who you are or recognize you or still.
So real quick, he said he was speaking about UFC 277, so I went over there real quick. Paulo Costa versus Luke Rockhold canceled. Why is this?
Oh no. Luke Rockhold's still fighting though, huh?
Yeah, no, if anything, it's pushed to August, or is it canceled again?
It just says canceled.
Yeah, I think it might be on. It's on a different card.
Website.
It's on a different card, I believe.
Okay.
Because I've been seeing I don't know why, but Luke Rockhold's been showing up on my Instagram all the time.
So even Matt here, and now that we'll just segue with Luke Rockhold, do you do psilocybin or shrooms at all, or psilocybin, however you pronounce it, or have you ever gotten into the shrooms?
Yeah, I mean, I've experimented a little bit. I've nothing crazy. I've done a microdose of 0.2 every 4 days at one point through training camps. I started doing that in 2018, but it's not something I've stayed consistent with. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know if, I really don't know what I was doing. I just kind of got on that routine as if I was taking my vitamins, and I liked it. It was cool with me. I like to be a little shroomy.
Well, even that's why I asked, because recently Luke has come out and said, like, yeah, shrooms. I'm microdosing. I'm eating a couple grams a day. It's like changing my life. So, and we talked to Jessica Penne.
You gotta get a W for you to be like, oh, that's what I should be doing then too, right?
Okay, but even Jessica Penne just had some wins. She just had a tough fight, but she, a lot of people are experimenting. But even with that fight, it was supposed to be on this card originally, but they took it off to add more to UFC 278.
What fight? What fight's that?
Usman Edwards.
Oh, right.
So yeah, this is Paulo Costa versus Rockhold is the undercard of that. It's actually the co-main event of that night.
Okay.
Oh, you just found out why it got canceled?
No, it didn't get canceled. It got moved.
I think Costa did have to push it though. I remember Rockhold because I follow Rockhold too. I think yeah, he's something about that.
He's lean right now, dude.
Dude, what a freaking stud.
Yeah.
I mean,
old Jack motherfucker.
As a Rockhold fan, yeah, I am a Rockhold fan. I'm sure you guys are too. I think, or if you guys are, this is a tough fight for him.
Yes.
Like, it's always that thing. Even like a Conor McGregor, I'll say, you don't need to come. You have to, but you don't have to. You don't need to come back and fight a top 5 guy.
Yeah, when guys go on skids too, it's until they like remind you that they're that guy again. It's hard not to think about it, and I can attest to that. I think I've just came out of a skid, so I know what it's like to be there. But for Rockhold, I was watching Luke Rockhold beat Jacare Souza on Strikeforce, watching it on Showtime when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Seems like so. I've always been a Rockhold fan. I know what he's capable of. So anytime he fights, like I'm going to tune in because I know he can just put it together one night. So yeah, I hope he gets it done. Paulo Costa is not my favorite guy either, just from a fan's aspect. But yeah. There you go.
He is so funny though, Paulo Costa. I think anyway.
I think it's kind of silly, like the whole weight thing. That was he just didn't even have anything good to say about it.
Oh, for sure. Him versus Marvin Vettori was gold. Like the whole back and forth between both of them was gold.
Yeah. Why in the heck would he miss weight? It didn't make sense. It just showed up, was like, yeah, I need to catch weight. Like didn't really give any. And it's like if something happens, then speak up and say it.
And then he was like, Marvin, what weight do you want to fight at? And Marvin was like, the fucking weight we agreed to, 185. Right. And then he was like, how about 195, 205? Oh, I love that guy though.
Anything but 185.
He won me over, Paulo Costa. What do you got the kids going to now, Matt?
Yeah. I just gotta hang on 1 second.
Can you do a power bomb? I'll do a power bomb.
What are your boys doing?
I don't know. They came in. The older ones got on full lacrosse gear. He's like, I put this lacrosse gear on for you. And he's like fired up.
Oh, and even Matt, yeah, we don't mind bring kids on. The wife could come on. We love when people come on our podcast. Dennis
she's been a bit much for her mom today. So, well, I'm sitting in her playroom too. So
how old is she?
She's 2. She turned 2 in February. So
ooh, the terrible 2s.
And
yeah.
I found my kids were worse in their 3s than their 2s.
Okay, well that's not something to look forward to.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, she's a pleasure, but she's been kind of sick, especially I came home yesterday and her Nana left. That's my mother-in-law. She left, and then as soon as she left, Penelope just starts puking everywhere. And it's just me here. My arm's all busted up. I'm kind of haggling around. I took some inside low kicks, so my legs kind of, and she just needs to hang on me, and I gotta be daddy. So just back to the life.
What what was it say? Oh yeah. So is she like constantly trying to kill herself?
No, she's pretty.
That's what like little kids that age. They're just constantly like, what is this? Like stick my finger in an outlet. What? Let
right.
me.
Oh yeah.
Let me grab sharp things. Like right.
But she's pretty like. I think that's more of a boy thing because we have friends with boys and they're ready to dive headfirst off the couch.
Let's jump off these stairs. You're like, dude.
Yeah, but Penelope, she's kind of dainty and it's pretty cute. She's pretty careful. It's funny.
Okay.
And now I didn't know, like, the whole time you were like, oh, we got to go get food for his wife at the hotel and stuff. And I'm like, oh, all right. I'm like, I would have thought maybe his wife would hang out. Your wife's pregnant.
She's pregnant.
Yeah. Made the trip out for the fight. Matt, and this is one of those things me and Dennis always like to ask fighters about this, and even kind of like the shit that you got to put a spouse through in fighting.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to watch that fight, she got the little Matt probably in the oven.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's a tough life, and God bless them. And she's a good one, and she's always been very supportive.
How long ago was it that you slipped one past the goalie? How pregnant is she?
The baby's due in January.
Now, how is she with fighting? Like, is she squirmish to it? Is she okay with it? You've been in the game long enough.
She was at my pro debut, so it's been 10 years. I mean, she didn't see the amateur stuff, but she watched Caged, and she knows that I've been fighting fights for a long time. It's not like she signed up not knowing that this was what I did. So
now she met you at the pro debut. Or you guys were already dating.
We were already dating.
Because half the reason why I even started fighting was the pickup chicks.
I was going to say, did you use the Cage line? Like, I was on TV, reality TV stuff.
It's a sad thing when it doesn't work, though, because I was the best guy in Louisiana for years and years and years before Cage came along. I never got a girlfriend because I was a fighter. It was not a cool thing.
Any girl that's at your fight, when after you beat up another guy in that gymnasium, that small theater, that single,
she's in play.
If you want her, you can have her, right?
Yeah. It seems like if you put yourself.
Some guys don't know. Yeah. Like, I remember those. Like, I was like, I am the charisma, like the fucking. You're just everything around you. There's like a fucking aura. Like, I can kill anybody, and I will kill you.
For me, yeah, definitely. But I remember I made my amateur debut in Lawton, Oklahoma. And there was a pretty good crowd, but it was a homely looking bunch, not a good looking one in the whole dang group. I've never been to a place like that. I'm from Louisiana. Yeah, a lot of pretty girls where I'm from, but I've also fought in front of like a ruckus crowd of 19 in like Benton, Arkansas. So yeah, it's just fighting for me. Now Cage changed things up. Of course, I was on MTV. That was a different time in my life. God bless it. That's when I met my wife in what we refer to as the aftermath of Caged. And yeah.
You should get an MTV tattoo, dude. Like riffraff.
Like on my neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just floating out there.
Man, though, so where you've come from in fighting, this moment has to be that much more sweet. You got bonus money, right?
Yeah.
You got the win check. You got the double paycheck, and I believe Dana's probably going to send something your way, discretionary wise.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with the ABC, but I'd imagine the UFC is probably getting cut some kind of check from ESPN or for the ABC fight that might be going to the fighters a little bit. So, what do you got, Menace?
I got a question. This one's for Matt Schnell.
Yes.
The crypto.com. Do you guys get money from that?
I don't think so. They have started. So what crypto.com has been doing.
Oh, it's for the extra.
They do give us Bitcoin, and I think that's only pay-per-views. I'm not sure if that's every event, but there's a first, second place in Bitcoin. It's like $30,000, $20,000, $10,000 in Bitcoin, which today is it's a good amount in Bitcoin. But what was I going to, because all that stuff is down. They also were doing some like Top Shot, like an NFT project where they were selling off the NFTs of certain events and things like that. And I know that they were going to start in some way paying us with that and opportunities through that. So
and then Venom gives you guys, you guys get money from Venom?
Yeah, Venom's like Reebok. It's a similar thing.
The same.
This was my 11th fight in the UFC, so I should get a fatter check from Venom this time than in the past.
Because I remember I was fighting on a Reebok, and then remember those P3s came out on the shorts?
Yeah.
I don't think it wasn't on a card I was on, but I asked a buddy, like, hey, did you get anything from P3? They're like, no.
Well, remember the P3 thing, and when kind of like when Monster first came on, they were like picking, like P3 or Monster must have went to Dana.
I remember P3 was picking events. where I feel like
no. They were putting a patch on people's shorts.
Yeah. And I remember them, even when I was in the UFC, they would tell us, like early on, they would tell us, like, yeah, you might have another logo on your shorts. You're not going to get paid for it. But
because, the internet was like, what the fuck is this? Like, how much did they pay X fighter or so-and-so fighter for that logo that they're not allowed to?
Monster and P3 was at one time one of those. But yeah, for me, the sponsorship deals were always kind of messed up. By the time I came into it, like, people were paying a bunch of money for sponsorships. I was like the generation after that. But everything's worked well from my perspective, and I think the uniformity of things have brought us into a more mainstream position, which ultimately in the long run is worth more than a couple $1,000.
For
sure. But that being said, yeah, I mean, when the crypto thing happened, I'm definitely on board for them being more transparent about exactly what's going on for that, because you sign a $280 million deal with a company and start sticking it in the middle of our chest. Yeah, I'm like, what's going on? What's up with that? But yeah, so I think they have been trying to do things, and it seems like more bonuses has become more plentiful. And I think as we continue to move forward, continue to grow, have big nights, set ourselves apart, there's always going to be more opportunity. So.
Oh yeah, and then we're in that stage. Me and Menace always say it. We're in the leather helmet stage, if you will. If you want to use like an old football analogy, the sport's still very young. So when people are like, "Oh, how come the fighters aren't making X amount, or they're not getting the lion's share, or all of the Reebok or Venom money?" There's a rhyme and a reason and a system in play that's growing everything. So that way, the next generation of fighters, Dennis's generation was here. Matt Schnell's generation's here. The next two generations are going to be sponsored by Nike and have, big, huge crypto deals and all types of shit like that. Most likely is where that, the trajectory seems to be going there.
Things continue to rise. And I think we are still at the infancy of this thing. And the UFC is doing well, certainly compared to other MMA promotions. I think they earn like 85% of all revenue that comes in from mixed martial arts goes to the UFC, which is how everything is in pretty much all industries. There's always one that sets itself apart, and they're at the forefront of things. But still, like, you can't compare them to either of the big three sports. Those guys are making 10 times the revenue.
Big three sports? What do you mean?
Football, basketball, and baseball.
Okay. Yeah. All right, NHL guys are killing it. Soccer players are murdering it. The golf guys are killing it. You know what I mean?
Yes, but here's the only thing that I'd have to get more into the numbers with it, but the UFC is worth one franchise, maybe two. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, say the NFL has 30 teams. Each team is valued at like what the UFC is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And not to say that there is still room, and it's a different model. Obviously, we don't have 55-man rosters, so there are differences. But and it's all complex, and I understand that. But I think we're doing the right things. Keep on moving forward. I like to negotiate for myself, and let's keep.
Oh, you don't have a manager?
That's my next question. Is I was going to say, like, you don't have a manager, right? I heard you say that.
Yeah, I don't have a manager. Saif Saud is my head coach, and he helps me with the matchups. And he's also very close to the matchmakers, as am I. Me and McMaynard signed me as an amateur to Legacy Fighting Promotions, so I've known him for a very long time. We live in the same. He lives a couple of neighborhoods over from me over here. And
so here's my little thing on that. When you get into negotiations and like, a manager, you can just be even like a friend or whatever you want that you're like, is my manager. And I just, because the UFC, if they're in negotiations with you and you don't give them like what they want or whatever, they're going to actually get mad at you.
Yeah.
But if you have a manager, you can be like, listen, I don't know. I just kind of pay this guy to kind of help me out. I didn't say anything. He's just trying to get me more money. That's his job. That's what I pay him to do.
And in that scenario, that's when Coach Safe would come into play.
Okay.
But typically, especially where
they have a standard.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have to either hold out on your contract to your last fight type deal or like be killing fucking everybody. We're like, dude, you kidding me? You know?
And I think when you have big opportunities or big moments and have big pops and things change, I think it is fair to ask for more, especially like if you're a big underdog and you go out and you sleep a guy, maybe it is, and you're only 2 fights into your contract, I think it is fair to be like, hey, can we at least discuss this? Can we get the conversation going? And honestly, I've just found things have gone better for me since I've started negotiating for myself. Not only is it good for me to develop that and cultivate that skill set, but ultimately things get who's got a better interest for me than me? Come on.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, what?
So this is the Menace and the Man show. Stan, do you have more serious questions?
Well, I just had one or more about like opponents. Like, what do you how many opponents do they give you? Is it like one name and take it or leave it, or they give you maybe 2 to be like, oh, this date maybe?
It depends. Sometimes they come to me sometimes they come to me with like, okay, this is the date. These are kind of the guys we're looking for. Do you know, is there somebody that, you know, maybe?
Because right now, you know, being in this division, 125, especially with whatever's going on with Figueiredo, an interim title coming in, it's wide open.
And it always is. You know, I've been one away from the title before. If I would have beat Pantoja in 2019, I probably would have fought for the UFC title. And that just goes to show how little most people know about the division, because I've been in this division for a minute and I've been close. But yeah, I'm well aware. That's why when I call names, I'm really careful. I'm not trying to call a guy that I think I've got every advantage over. I like to call these. If you look back a little ways, I was coming out of the cage calling for Davis and Figueiredo.
Realistically, right now, you're 1 fight away.
Yeah, sure.
So look, I'll go Figueiredo.
I'd say 2.
No, listen, 1. Figueiredo, Moreno, and who's Moreno fighting? Kai Kara France.
Kai Kara France, yeah.
They had you rank 8? That's 3 right there. There's only 5 guys potentially in front of you. If you fight one of those 5.
Yeah. And that's who I called. I called Nicolau. He's going to be 1 in front of me. Maybe Tuesday they give me 1 bump in front of him, maybe to incentivize him to come and fight me. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. That'd be a chess move by Mr. Maynard and the guys. I don't know who all runs the rankings, but I wouldn't mind a bump in ranking just to say I did it.
Honestly, you might go up 1 or 2 because I think the rankings are done by the media.
Okay, yeah. Alex Perez is number 6. Me and Alex Perez have supposed to fought at Baker's dozen time before, so he's matched up. Actually, July 30th. That's going to be a great card, July 30th. I can't wait to be there with Moreno, and then Pantoja's making his return, too, against Alex Perez. So it'll be fun to be in the building. But, yeah, of course, 1 away. Mateus Nicolau, probably, I would think maybe 1 more after that, and then, yeah, I'm up for a title shot.
But yeah, very close right now. So hopefully next time we're talking to Matt Schnell, it's in a number 1 contender fight or maybe a title fight, something like that going on.
Wouldn't it be nice? Gold belt buckles. That's what I've always been after.
Now, I have also, when we first bumped into you, that's why I when I heard you say on an interview that you don't have a manager, I think it was Hawani's right? I think that's what you said it. I saw you with the guy from Vayner Sports, so I just kind of, and he said, oh, we're going to do something with him with the trading card, so I just thought maybe they were your managers. Then when I heard you say that, I was like, oh, I guess not.
Yeah, I have been discussing things with Vayner Sports, but mostly on the marketing side of things, just because, I mean, it's foolish for me to, I don't know, and it's up for discussion, and I've got a good team around me. I'm not making decisions for myself without at least consulting a few people, Coach Safe, Yves Edwards, my wife, teammates, people who I trust that have my best interests as well. But the Vayner Sports guys, yeah, I've been talking to them. I'm interested in them more.
Like to do events with them and stuff like that?
Say it again?
Like to do events with them and such?
Events and just like make the sponsorship contacts happen. Maybe have them bring them in to help me with social media, help use their resources. I live in Houston, Texas. There's a million people who do everything I need them to do in that city. I just don't necessarily know the right contacts. So yeah, things like that, just start trying to build my YouTube. I do have a, knack for the sports cards, and it's a community that I'm now pretty well established in, and we could try to kind of cultivate something more out of that. So
did you say NASCAR?
Sports cards.
Oh,
sports cards.
Yeah, I've seen.
You do sound kind of like a good NASCAR.
Like a NASCAR driver? Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, hell yeah. I can't drive for shit though.
No,
not really. I mean, I don't get in wrecks, but I'm not out here driving fast either.
I like going fast.
Good heck.
So now you don't drink, right? Or you're not a big drinker?
Not a big drinker. I'll have a drink. My buddy's getting married here in October, and we're going to Chicago. I'm sure we're going to get wasted. It's going to be terrible.
Well, I mean, yeah, but in terms of keeping your weight down, that was one of my biggest things. Is I probably drank too much in between fights and fucking would put on like 30 pounds. Like, God.
Yeah, and I'm already too big to fight. Like I'm 152 pounds. So.
Yo, okay. We talked about that. Yeah, you are. When I sized you up when I first met you, I was like, he's big for a 25er.
Yeah, and it wasn't always that way. I'm a little bigger now. I think I'm regulating my sleep better, kind of doing my strength and conditioning more. So I do carry a little more muscle than I used to, and thus I'm just a little bit bigger. And so the cuts they're tasking. I'm having to bring on professional help pretty much year round.
Because, yeah, then we were even talking about it. I was talking how you are a solid size 125. I was telling you how small Henry Cejudo was, and you were like, I've actually had some work with him. So you've done a lot of rounds with arguably one of the GOATs at that smaller weight class.
I can compete with anybody. Even, I mean, look back at the fights I've lost. I've had some big falls. I've had some curious moments, but, I mean, I'm competitive with everybody. Well, right up to the day I walked in, I fought Rob Font on 6 days' notice, and it was a scrap. He put me away in the first, but go back and watch that fight. Your boy was out there scrapping. So I think I can compete with anybody. I gotta stay focused. I gotta keep sharpening my competitive edge. We're always working to get better. You know, this fight went well, but it could have gone better. If I was sharper, I could have just put him away in the first. But it's one of those things. We're always working on it. But yeah, I think I can fight with anybody. I really do.
I told Yves, hey, if you need me, come down, do a little.
Dude, come on.
He was like, maybe I will put together a little. Maybe I'll hit you up on that and get you a couple bucks to come on down here and show a couple date downs.
We've got a small group of guys, and I think that we're all pretty open minded as far as instruction goes. But it's a high level group of guys, and I promise if you came in and showed us some stuff, you would influence us
for sure.
Oh yeah, what Adrian Yanez you got there? Who are the other guys you got over there?
Rafael Stotts is there too. We got some Muay Thai guys from around here that are trying to make the transition, and they learn quick. They pick it up quick. There's a good group of younger professionals in this area. Flyweights too. There's a kid named Alden Cormier that's really good. He trains at 4 ounce, but he comes and cross trains with me. Josh Walker, Paris Moran. I mean, there's some kids around here that are going to fight in the UFC one day, and they're kind of at the infancy of stuff. And then you've got guys like myself, Stotts, and Adrian Yanez, who are kind of in the thick of their careers.
And then all under the watchful eye of the man, the myth, the legend himself, Yves Edwards.
Thug Jitsu.
Yeah, the Thug Jitsu master. And I'm trying to get it more consistent, and I have to be more. I'm hurt right now. I just fought, but I'm eager to get back in there because I know the more I'm there, the more other people are there, the better it gets ripping. So it starts with the continuity of us putting our feet on the mats every day. But yeah, that's what I can't wait, man. I really think that Yves and the things that we're doing, me being willing to bounce around and use Fortis MMA and other places too. I really think that we're going to bring this area along, and in the long run, y'all are going to see some dominant performances come out of this area.
Oh, for sure. Especially since Fortis MMA has popped up. It seems like before that, I think it was just like Derek Lewis and a few like outliers. Now it seems like Texas is becoming a hotbed for MMA. And on top of everyone moved there. Everyone migrated there from
like Cali and shit, right?
Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of people are moving in, getting things going there now. But one of my favorite things that happened this weekend was, yes, I got to smoke a little with Matt Schnell. And then the best was Yves got into my car. He's like, Dennis, Bermudez, it smells like weed in here. And I was like, that's because I be smoking weed, Yves. And he was like, what are we doing? We smoking weed right now? So then I like, you could attest to this, Matt. Like, Yves is a legend. Like, especially if you know, like, you're an old school fight fan. Like, for me, I told Yves, I'm like, you do realize only a few knockouts live up here rent free. Him knocking out Josh Thompson is one of them. Like, it stays up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then hanging out with Yves, and then Yves was like, oh, Matt wants to smoke. I hung out with Matt Schnell. Lauren Murphy comes around. Puna Soriano at the press conference. Like, it's good to see a lot of fighters almost being a little bit more open with cannabis use and using it for the right reasons.
Link up with Puna?
No, I hit him up, and I guess I'm assuming he found what he needed somewhere. I was going to see if he wanted the podcast tonight, but I figured we'd give Matt his due, his episode.
Puna's the man. I enjoy him.
But yeah, it was a nice little cipher session that I have that in my memory, that I could say like, all right, yeah, after a fight, this is how.
And I think it will become more mainstream with guys, and I don't necessarily put it out there all the time that it's something that I utilize, but it certainly is. And anybody who knows me, they're well aware. It's no secret if you're in my circle. But it's cool to see. It's something that I feel like I have let get away from me in the past.
It's healthier than drinking.
Oh my God, it's the greatest.
Abuse is
pain aid.
Abuse is abuse, no matter what, And if you're blowing down freaking thick blunts before you walk into sparring, you're not going to be your absolute best. So I think there's a happy median in there, and I'm always kind of trying to tiptoe that line. But it's good. It's good. I do enjoy it. It does take the edge off things. Honestly, my wife doesn't mind it very much either because she says it makes me nicer. So I don't know. That's just something to think about.
Oh, for sure. And even like in that situation, you went through a war, a bloodbath of a war. Lauren Murphy went through 15 minutes with Misha Tate. You guys, went through a scrap. Puna at the post-fight press conference with his broken thumb was like, who has weed? He was asking the media, like, I need somebody to hook me up. So
hilarious.
If you're using it for the right reasons, no problem doing it,
It's illegal. I mean, it's legal in New York too, so heck, he can do that.
Oh yeah, that was like the great amazing news to everybody that I was telling that to. I'm like, oh no, anywhere you can smoke a cigarette, you can smoke weed. They were like, really? I like New York. I like this. Because not many places it's like that now. But so what's like the first thing Matt does when he gets done with a fight? Like when you get home, your family and whatnot. Like you don't have a job, like a day job, right? You're like a stay-at-home dad.
Stay-at-home dad. So I mean, I've got a honey-do list a country mile long. So I've got some organizing to do in the garage. I've got my sprinklers that they need to be adjusted. So I've been putting that off for about 4 weeks. Got to get right back. I'm a homeowner.
Did you really just ask him this question?
Yeah. What do you mean? This is my last one, and then we're getting into some fight stuff.
That's a weak question, really. That's like, who else asked you that question, Matt?
Yeah. Y'all want to hear about how
after you get done fighting, what are you gonna do?
I mean, honestly, I do think it's a good question. And
well, I was Dennis. He's a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah,
he's one of the best.
He's not a stay-at-home dad. He's home to take care of his daughter, but he's not like a stay-at-home dad. This man's working more than his wife, probably.
He proudly puts it out there that he's a stay-at-home dad. That's why I said it. It's on his Instagram. That's the only reason I brought it up. But anyway,
I like to think it's something kind of in between. But yeah, but I'm not babysitting my baby every day. We put her in daycare not only because I think it's best for her development, but it does give me better opportunity to get around and train. But yeah, I love taking care of my home. This is what I've always worked to do. And I care about things.
So real quick, before we get you out of here, we'll just go these 125 fights that are coming up at UFC 277. We'll make you put, your name out there with Matt Schnell is going with. Who do you think wins, Pantoja or Alex Perez?
It's a tough one. I think Pantoja's coming off of a long layoff, but so is Alex Perez. It's kind of hard for me to peg who's going to come out there, who's going to be influenced by ring rust or what's going to happen. I would say if they both come out their best, I give the edge to Perez just because he's such a he can wrestle so well and he's got such a good top control. And I don't know if Pantoja, and he's big too. And Pantoja's not as big as Alex Perez, but Pantoja's also looked really good, like was able to shut down Askarov's takedown attempts. So it could go either way. Pantoja's a dog, and I've been in there with Pantoja, and I know that he can get it done. So I really don't have a great answer for you there, to be perfectly honest. It's going to be a scrap. Those guys can go.
What are the odds, Stan?
I,
Yet?
yeah, I'd assume Pantoja's the favorite, but I'm gonna check them right now. So yeah, I mean I'm looking at the rankings. They got 4 versus 6. So they're trying to find that next. Do you think one of these guys might be the next name thrown at you?
It could be. I fought Pantoja in January 2019, I believe, or December 20. I can't remember. I fought Pantoja. He knocked me out. It was a crazy round 2. We both almost knocked each other out. He just ended up getting me.
Kill or be killed.
That's right. And then me and Perez, we've been supposed to fight 5 different times, and it's gone back and forth. My fault, his fault.
Close. Pantoja's minus 150. Perez is plus 135.
Yeah.
Which of the two do you think favors your fighting style?
Say it again.
Which of the two do you think benefits your fighting style?
Well, me and Pantoja are going to bang it out every single time, so that'll be an entertaining one. Whereas Perez, we're going to hit each other, and Perez is going to shoot.
All right, so another big one in your division, interim title fight, which surprises me, but I guess now it's coming out that Walid Ismail might be the problem, or win the whole Davis and Figueiredo negotiations, but Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara France for the interim flyweight title.
Again, a reason to negotiate for yourself so you don't just get completely taken advantage of by some dude. But yeah, I like Moreno again in that matchup because they fought before Moreno kind of pieced up Kai. Kai's done great, but I think Moreno gets it done.
Oh man, Moreno is so tough. He's like one of those guys. Like it's at this point in his career, it's tough to pick up against him, unless he's fighting.
Yeah, I've trained with Moreno too, and he's a bad dude. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. My wife she's losing her mind, so I need to go and.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you, brother. We'll definitely do this again.
Have you on? I want to talk about potential street fights you may or may not have had. You have time to make one up if you want. And then I want to know a little bit more about why Matt Schnell is Matt Schnell, like what you're growing up and all that. When next time we have you on.
Absolutely, I'll do 2 trues and a lie with street fights. There's plenty of them. So,
all right, deal.
Oh, if you like doing interviews, Matt, we'll get you back. And we like recurring guests, definitely. And it gets funner as we go. Once we start to get to know somebody, but we had a great time with you tonight. Again, amazing performance. It was amazing to watch. It was great hanging out with you. Big Matt Schnell fan.
Thank you, guys. Such a pleasure. Great to finally meet you, Dennis. Definitely a long-time fan. And awesome to meet you too, Stanley. I will see you guys around.
God bless, brother.
Yep.
Yeah, big Matt Schnell fan.
Man, I felt like the Menace and the Man was boring in that interview.
You felt like what?
The Menace and the Man was boring in that interview. You went like real MMA journalists.
You felt like we were blowing?
Boring. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
That's not.
I don't feel like we were. Why do you feel like we were boring?
I mean, listen, if you're like really in MMA, you like everything we're talking about, you're like, oh man, oh yeah. But if you're just a casual,
and
you want to hear
my last question, that's what I was trying to get at. Like, are you a real stay-at-home dad? Like you're taking.
Well, you should have. I think you should have worded it like that.
I didn't word it properly. I apologize, but we're
I
rusty.
Was like, dude,
we're rusty. What do you mean?
Like,
we're rusty.
I've had guys. Hey, so you're done with your fight? Like. What are you gonna do to get home? Like
Menace, we're rusty. We got dull blade.
No, you are, you piece of shit.
We got a dull blade right now.
You're dull.
We gotta keep sharpening it. But even here, real quick, we'll recap UFC Long Island. What was your fondest memory of this weekend? Oh man, I figured you'd at least start rattling a few off. Can't pinpoint one.
Maybe when I lost that bet to that one guy that was like, yo, bet you can't touch that sprinkler.
Oh, yeah.
He like does like arm like passes. Like, fuck.
That kid had like, for a white kid, he had like extra calf muscles. Like he must.
Yeah, well, he was talking to that the black dude that was selling the drinks. And was like, you play basketball? And I was like, do you? When they're like, you can't touch that shit. How tall do you think that was? 10 foot?
12.
It wasn't.
At least
it wasn't anything crazy.
At least 10.
11 foot.
10 maybe. I'm not sure. There's probably a code of how high sprinklers are, but yeah, you really felt like we did a boring interview there with Matt. I disagree.
Comment below what you guys think.
Why weren't you telling him any of your jokes? You had everyone else laughing at the UFC all weekend.
I was kind of trying. Like, you were like picking away with like real MMA questions. I'm like, all right.
Was I? What was the real? I don't think I was, but we'll play it back and we'll see.
Who would you train with? Like, you know.
Yeah, I guess I did. My apologies.
Listen, I'm okay with it.
No, I'm not. But here's the thing. I'm not okay with it because now if I think back, I'm like, oh man.
Because I was about to get into street fights with him, and then you're like, one more thing, and I was like, all right, I'm done, man. I don't got time for this.
Well, he had a good time. That's all that matters. But UFC Long Island, I had a good time.
Did we even really get the laugh stand? We get everybody to laugh. I'm not even sure if I got a snicker out of him.
Yeah, we did. What are you talking about?
When?
You're
It might have been like you know, people text you LOL.
Oh, you think
he might have give you one of those laughs?
He was just.
We didn't get like a real like, holy shit, what?
Yeah, and then I was like, "You smoke weed?" He was like, "I kind of don't let people know that." I was like,
I know, that was pretty good.
But whatever. That's why you come a Menace and a Man, to let the world know what you're up to. But
it's 2022, dude. People smoke weed. Like, maybe in his head he's like, my daughter was gonna watch all of my interviews, and when she gets older, and I don't want her smoking.
But yeah, great time at the UFC event.
Because it is called the Devil's Lettuce.
The Devil's Lettuce.
Yeah. So
yes, hopefully not the first of, or hopefully the first of many that me and Menace got to keep getting on these events. You know, we got some things in the works, so hopefully.
What's your most fondest part of the?
Honestly, people recognizing you and people like showing respect to you, because I know sometimes you're like, people, you know, or you know, you don't have 1 million followers, but you probably got more respect in that UFC Long Island building than most people.
I thought you were going to say somebody in particular, and I was like,
who?
He's black.
Yeah, there's definitely people that like, and even obviously, yeah, there were those fans, because those fans everywhere that just see a fighter and they're like, oh, if they don't even know, but there were people that, you know, for who you are and that you haven't fought in 3 years.
Well, I mean, when I go to an MMA event, I'm not like, oh, someone knows, like, it's pretty cool, but like, for me, it's like when real recognize real, like Ricky Simone being like, yo, Dennis, like,
yes,
dude, love all your shit. And I was like,
that is exactly what I'm talking about. The moments when you
that for me,
even like Matt Schnell, you were like, who's Matt Schnell?
Matt Schnell, who's the
Charles Jourdain.
Yeah, like going out of his way to like
twice to talk.
Yeah. I should be like, you want to party? I'll party with you.
They got respect on your name. And then Shane Burgos putting on that performance. You know, you and Shane used to train together. Sick. Oh, that was amazing. I was going to hit Shane up, but then I figured we'll just go Matt.
Yeah, you got the biggest star of the night.
And then nice little interaction with Dana. You know where we fucked up is, now I'm realizing, is you kind of have to organize your things before. And even like I said, Yves told me, don't wait.
Like in priority, like the best first, and then taper down.
Yes, and even
you start like warming up with shitty questions, and like that's all you get. You're like
that. That, and even like if we want, because we have these capabilities, if we want interactions with Dana, we have to like let them know beforehand. Like we kind of do like the last minute thing. We can't do that with him apparently. At the events, we could do it to get him on the podcast and whatnot, but we can't do it, you know, because that instance when I was like, oh, we're going to go do something with Dana had a flight to catch.
Right.
So we weren't getting anything good. So I was like, all right, we won't force this. We'll just follow up later. But then even great conversations with all the UFC people. We have a lot of moves right now that we could potentially make that we've been waiting to make, you know, try to blow this thing up. So everybody, please, you know, we never say it, but go share the show.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah. Share the show wherever you can.
Tell your mom's friend, cousin about it.
Hot girls, if you know any attractive girls, send them the link. But yeah, I had a great time at the UFC. I really enjoyed being there. Like I said, that's hard work. That's a lot of work that went in there. Obviously, Dennis Bermudez being Dennis Bermudez helped, but we put a lot of work into this podcast.
But I gotta get some meat.
You got to get what?
Something to eat.
Oh, for sure. I got a lot of shit to do. I'm about to head to Rhode Island. I'm moving to Rhode Island for a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, you leave?
Yeah, I'm leaving right after this podcast.
Oh wow. Well, Stan, safe travels.
Hitting the open road, go do some things with my guy Space Monkey. I'm gonna go train at Big Six and start boxing.
What if someone really fucks you up real bad?
I was always pretty durable, you know. And if someone
Oh, you're just gonna go with like, yeah, if he fucks me up, I could take it.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Good.
What will fail me? Probably my cardio will fail me before like can I physically?
No, not what might. What will definitely fail you is your cardio.
No, but I'm saying like my cardio will fail me before can I physically take it? You know what I mean?
Right. And then you're gonna have to physically take it because you ain't gonna be able to return it. So, or like defend yourself. So hopefully you are durable.
But you know how it is. I've experienced it in my any training I've done since I broke my leg, striking.
And that guy's 100 pounds less than you. Stop. Like
no, striking and grappling are way different cardio.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, like striking, I'm not going to say easier, but is easier on cardio. You know, grappling is fucking terrible.
Yes.
Like,
depends on your style of grappling.
But yeah, I got to get back in shape. I got to drop some pounds, so I'm going to jump into the boxing.
I tell you what, that's a good way to get in shape is when someone's really trying to fuck you up. You got to like push to stay alive, kind of.
Yeah. Maybe I'll jump into some sparring. My ankle feels good, but yeah, that's the game plan. But
you need a nice boot.
I'm hanging out with this fucking.
You need a nice tight shoe that covers your ankle.
Yes, but I'm hanging out with this guy who got skinny all of a sudden, you know, or skinny-ish again.
Who, me?
Yeah, you saw that even at the event. Gilbert Burns, he noticed. What did he say to you initially? He was like, "You're doing better. You're doing better. You look better."
Yeah, he didn't give me like, "Whoa."
Instead of like the big reveal, he was like, "Yeah, you're doing better. You look good."
Okay.
And then you were like, you weigh 210. He was like 200, not 210. So we were close. Fresh off vacation, but we had Gilbert fresh off vacation, Dana fresh off vacation. And then a weird event for the UFC, like not your typical, because it was early in the day, people weren't doing their usual thing. But yeah.
I thought it was good.
A great time.
It was good. And
then that sucked. We'll end it on that even. And then we'll do like one or two picks for this weekend's card. But the Dana White press scrum, fucking terrible. Terrible. That's,
oh my God,
even that.
So I messaged Dana and he responded. What did I say? I says, give me a second. You can start pulling up the card at least. Because I sent the picture of him at the table, you know, being D Money. I'd start calling him D Money. He said everyone's looking for fake news clickbait. And I was like, it was tough to listen to. But those awful questions they ask you, like Nate Diaz says he wants to fight Francis Ngannou. I'm like, what? Like, would you like? No, what? Like, that's the craziest shit I ever heard. So then I told him we'll have some good questions for him in the future. He said, perfect.
Yeah, I told Lene flat out. I was like, Lene, I apologize that even my questions kind of sucked at the post-fight presser. And even when I went back, actually, no, my questions were actually great. Even, I don't usually listen to Ariel Helwani. I did listen to Ariel Helwani today. I'll listen to like interviews. I kind of like put the whole show on in the background today because Burgos was on. I wanted to hear him. I wanted to hear Schnell. And, yeah. It was just one of those cards, you know, that they just had no questions for Dana. But then even Burgos was talking to Helwani. We were referenced of like what you were talking about with Burgos, blah, blah, blah. And then even my question to Dana, which was the Colby Covington question, that seemed to be a good question that a lot of people are like, oh, okay. And that's the vibe we got from Colby. I'm assuming that Colby is not letting Dustin Poirier skate away from this one. And he was like, I will fight at 155, I will fight at 170, or I'll fight at 185. Let Dustin know that.
One thing that threw me off this weekend, right? So Dana's in there. I thought all the questions that people were going to be asking Dana were going to pertain to the fight that just happened, not like every other big MMA thing that is even a possibility.
I had questions. I had questions for that event. For a particular, I did have most of my questions were outside of the event because that's just how Dana's scrums usually go.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's usually how they go. And then even Dana hasn't done one of those in like 3 weeks, three or four events. So they were like itching for it, if you will. And then even that, the Jake Paul conversation got started, and I was like, oh, I don't even want to ask this question, but everyone else asked something so stupid about Jake Paul. I asked the decent question about Jake Paul when I was like, what do you think of him versus Rahman? Because nobody's asked him that. Then Ariel had on Hasim Rahman Jr. and was like, what do you think of Dana White's comments? And I will say this. I will actually say this. I don't want to throw any shade at Ariel, but I will because I did listen to his episode today. And he said, oh, you know what happens is guys talk about Nate Diaz's interview and nobody says when it was on the MMA Hour. Ariel Helwani, 30 minutes before he was bitching about that, did not say Stan the Man from Menace and the Man was asking a Colby Covington question, or I heard him ask this question. So it was, one of those things where I was like, all right. And granted, maybe we're not big enough yet, but he clearly knows who we are. He clearly knows who you are. You know what I mean?
I've been on the show.
Well, I just found that funny. That I almost was like, oh, literally.
Did you really laugh out loud or you LOL'd?
I laughed out loud because I was like, that literally happened this episode.
Did you like smile in your head or you actually verbally laughed? Stan?
Yeah, I did like a Denzel Washington, like this motherfucker here. This motherfucker here.
Okay.
Because he was bitching about everyone at the post-fight presser, not saying the MMA fighting interview with Ariel Helwani, when an hour earlier he was talking about my questions or your questions and not saying, oh, this, that, they asked this question. I'm just going to steal.
He wasn't citing his information.
Yeah.
All right, I got to go, Stan. I had enough of you, dude.
But anyway, it was just
I was with you all weekend.
But
I'm on the
next time we will have better questions for Dana. I'll shoot maybe the shot. Maybe we'll see if we can get Dana next week.
Go ahead, shoot that shit, nigga.
Ooh, and then we'll get Lydia Warren as well. You miss all the shots you don't take. That one actually...
Go ahead, shoot it.
Shit works out sometimes. But Menace, it was good seeing you.
All right. Well, see you later.